Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be working on an A1466 model MacBook Air that's not turning on. Let's take a look at it together and see if we can figure out why it's not working and make it work again. One of the happiest things that you can do to a MacBook is make its fan spin. People smile when they're happy, and MacBooks spin when they're happy. Let's get to work. I'm going to take the bottom off of this computer. It looks like the board is already out of the case for me, making things a little bit simple. Unfortunately, the DC-in board has not been unscrewed, but that's not something that's going to take much time to remedy. Here we go. Just like that. I'm also going to unplug the SSD and unscrew it to ensure that while we do any work on the board, that we're not going to be affecting their data. This is a very clean MacBook in contrast to the one that we were just working on now, isn't it? Looks very nice on the inside. You can tell the owner really cares about this one. Looks like they've even replaced the battery at some point in the past. That's not an original. But it doesn't look like a bad one. I hope they're happy with the battery that they've received. Now, when we put the meter on the screen, what we're looking for is to see how many amps the board is taking. This is one of our methods of communicating with the board. We as humans don't have the ability to talk to the board and ask it what's going on, how are you doing, how can I help you? But what we do is we get the board to talk to us by giving us data that we can then interpret in the form of a conversation. When we plug the MacBook in, and it says that it's taking 25 to 26 milliamps, that tells us something. Also, the fact that it started turning on again tells us something. Weird. Because the customer says that it doesn't turn on. That's strange. If it was turning on, or if it wasn't turning on before, but it's turning on now, that would be 2 for 2. Perhaps the MacBook just likes us more than the owner. Well, I'm going to take a look at this. I don't trust it to just say, oh, it's working, and give it back to you. You'll have people that have issues, and then they'll bring it to a repair shop, and it won't have the issue, and it can be a frustrating thing. It can be a frustrating thing, because it means that you're likely not going to find a solution. So what I like to do is I like to just give it another look through. Some problems are hopeless. Some problems are truly hopeless. But a lot of the times, when you have something random like this, what you really hope for is that there's something that sticks out on the board, something that speaks to you in a certain way, that tells you, hi, look over here. I'm in pain. I'm hurting. Please notice me. Does anybody see anything in pain over here? This is our clock circuit. Yes. What do we see here? So it looks like you have a couple of hairs over there. But the main issue here is not the hairs, but rather the complexion. That little greenness on them means that there's been corrosion over here before. And that corrosion is not going to do us any good. We need to get rid of that corrosion now, don't we? So I'm going to turn on the fume extractor and kick this thing on. That's what we do here at Rossmann Repair Group. We kick things. And once it's kicked on, we're going to pour a small amount of Amtech Flux. Is brownie a cookie or a cake? A brownie is neither. A brownie is a brownie. Execute O Raptor, and thank you very much. We're going to put a small amount of flux on there. And some hot air will help us remove all of that corrosion and make sure those solder joints are back to the way they were when this board came happy out of the factory. Now, I'm personally not happy with the fact that there's this level of corrosion in this area. I don't feel content to simply reflow this. Now, this is also the clock chip. This is something that I don't trust after water. It's more sensitive than other chips, and I don't want this to come back within the warranty period. One of the things that I really enjoy about MacBook repair and logic board repair in general is that it's a very meditative experience. There's a whole world of hell going on outside. One need only turn on the news or view the comment section of a social media website to understand that. What I like being able to do here is to make order of a crazy world. Because when I'm sitting here in the microscope with my iron on, this is my world. And I am the king of my world. And in my world, I can make it as happy or as miserable as I please. And it's fun to be able to choose to make it a happy world. And we make it a happy world by making it a device that will never come back for warranty ever again. A brownie is not... I don't know what that means. That's kind of strange. A brownie is simply a brownie, and nothing more. We are going to replace this chip, as well as the cap above it. Further, when we take the chip off, we get to see the condition of the pads underneath. Even if the chip looks good on the top, the pads underneath can no longer be conducting the way they're supposed to, causing the board to return before the warranty expires, or in some cases after the warranty expires. And to some, that's the point. But here we find a sense of pride in ensuring that nothing comes back ever again. Not in a month, not in 6 months, not in 6 years. We want this MacBook to be happy for the rest of its life. That's what we're about to do. Give it a little bit more flux. Isn't it beautiful when you get to see the chip just slowly find its place? And there we go. The chip has found its place in the world. You go over each joint with loving care. Some flux, some solder, beautiful. Now we're going to look over the rest of the board. Yikes! More corrosion. Well, now this chip is a little bit more hardier than the other one. And it looks like the corrosion is far enough away that we wouldn't have to replace it. This is not a clock chip, but rather a power chip. However, those components next to it are not trustworthy in the least, nor are the pads under them. Sliding these little 0402s and 0201s off of the board and replacing them with fresh ones after making sure that the pads underneath the little resistors are fine. It's going to be our next move. I expect the pads at the top to be the least healthy of them all. Wow. That's something else. So take a look over here. I don't know if you noticed that. Now look at this. Where was this even touching? How is this even conducting electricity at all? I wonder. Imagine if somebody had told the customer, well, it's turning on for me, I guess there's nothing wrong with it. Perhaps they would have kept using it. And perhaps it would have continued to corrode until it got to a point where it was actually unfixable. It's always important to take a look. Yeah, we've got some scraping that we're going to have to do here. This is why we find our X-Acto knife. And we happily scrape away. We're just going to scrape away the pain. Unfortunately, it looks like the knife that I picked up was ruined by an L. Let's try the other one that's on the table. There's a lot of flux here, and that flux is doing us no good right now. Flux can be useful at many times, but when scraping, it very rarely is. I dare say never. Gonna use some alcohol and spin. Make sure not to go back and forth. We don't want fibers all over the board now, do we? A little bit of spinning with the alcohol. I don't buy Dogecoin. I don't buy speculative coins anymore. I've learned my lesson on all of that. And I'm at a point where I can no longer afford to be an idiot. Oh, how I wish you had Brian, TTS Brian, when what? Okay, that's odd. I don't know what that means. You've managed to break the overlay. Congratulations. Very few people have achieved that in the past, but you did. Davidson Junes, you should be working right now. I know for a fact you should be working and not wasting time watching this stream. I've seen your queue. I also happen to know that you have a phone that belongs to the aunt of my girlfriend, and I'm confident that you would have finished that phone before spending time on YouTube. Right? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. All right. See if we can revive this pad. And here we go. We don't want to put solder on top of old nasty junk. That's not the idea here. I don't know. I think Erica has an S9 Plus that she breaks all the time. Okay. Now we're going to have to refurbish those other pads above. You don't want to simply put solder on top of a nasty pad. What you want to do, the nice thing to do, the proper thing to do, is to ensure that you've scraped away everything. Ashan, I am not the one teaching them. Paul, Chris, and Dan are. They are technicians that are more capable than myself. We're going to put the micro pencil back because I prefer using that for this, particularly with a T30-KN tip. They are, Shan, and we even have scheduling dates for them on the website at rossmanngroup.com. Now this big ball of solder that we have up here is going to suck up the dirt as I slowly scrape it off of these pads. And then once the solder ball is too dirty, we put it and we clean the iron. And then we go back to scraping. My temperature on my air tool depends on what I'm doing. Anywhere from 400 to 500, 325 to 350 for a phone. I accept bribes in the form of money. Will we ever see Louis Jägermeister fueled repair again to the near and distant future? No, I've tried to stop drinking because one of the things I've noticed is that it doesn't solve my problems. It allows me to forget when I've made a really stupid life decision, but it doesn't ever solve the problem. And that's a big part of why drinking, for me, is a waste of time. It doesn't solve whatever it is that got me to the point where I feel like drinking. And I have a lot of problems that I need to solve at this point in time, many of which were self-created. And I won't have the incentive structure to do so if I'm drunk. Those temperature are... Whoa, what do you mean? You know whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit, because you know that that wouldn't melt solder if I was talking about Fahrenheit. That pad is... I really kind of feel like ripping that pad off, to be honest with you, at the top. This right over here, because this, and just soldering directly to what is above it. Because as you can see, it's so scratched up. No matter how much I scratch in the middle, yeah, I'm never getting through the corrosion. I'm just soldering on top of corrosion, which is precisely what I don't want to do. Oh, hi. It looks like I have a douchebag in my chat today. Hello, fuckface. Bye-bye, fuckface. Have a good life, you cunt. Bye-bye, you cunt. Okay, back to our board repair. By the way, I wasn't being very genuine there. I actually don't hope he has a good life. I hope it's filled with pain and misery. A happy little band. Okay. Next up is finding another donor board. Because that donor board is actually missing the one thing that I need. I've used it already. No worries. We have tons of donor boards around here. Now sometimes you're going to put components on the board sideways or diagonally, but there's no shame in doing things crooked. There's no shame in something being diagonal. It just means that your board is different, and different is okay. There's nothing to be ashamed about being different. Look at how many MacBooks that come straight from the factory with stock configuration fail right out of the box. We're going to make this MacBook better than normal. More interesting. It'll be the life at parties. The life of the party. Celebrate diversity and component placement on boards. That chip is not perfectly on the board yet. However, with the amount of flux on the board, it will go into place as I solder the component that goes directly under it. Watch as they all flow into place. It's going to be beautiful, my friends. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to add a small piece of flux. Someone told me Dogecoin was best coin, says Hi. We'll see about that. Okay, there it tried to troll me a little bit. Every now and then you'll get mildly trolled. However, that trolling is not going to last. The components were not low enough on the board, so they weren't getting sucked into place via surface tension. But now they are. Yes. Absolutely beautiful. A happy little rebuild board. Look at that. Now this board is not going to look like its peers. When others see it, they're going to say, you're not the same as us. But the thing is, it's okay to be different than others. It's not about being the same. It's not about doing what everybody else is doing, saying what everybody else is saying, or thinking what everybody else is thinking. It's about working and being productive in your own unique way. And that's what this board is going to do. Yep. Alright, let's look through the rest and see if we're missing anything else. Typically there's corrosion right on pin 8 of U1950, but we don't see any of that here now, do we? It actually looks perfect to me. Yes, it's nice to watch things go into place when you apply hot air, isn't it, Ronaldo? It's beautiful. Daniel Smullen says, you are a treasure. Well, as long as I'm not a buried treasure, I'm okay. I'm happy with that. As you can see, as we look over the rest of the board, you'll notice that there's absolutely nothing going on. There's no corrosion, and there's nothing wrong with it, meaning that this board repair has most likely come to an end. What we're going to do at this point is see that fan spins, give it an ultrasonic cleaning to get rid of any sort of dirt and junk, like this. You never know when something like this could be hiding underneath a chip or anything like that. And once that ultrasonic cleaning is done, it's going to be reassembled and then fully tested by a member of our staff here at Rossmann Repair Group before it's given back to the customer. Now we're going to test and see if the fan actually spins. And it can confirm that the fan still spins after our repair is done in all of its glory, which I sincerely hope it does. Different is more interesting, Catherine. Different is more interesting indeed. There's a resistor stuck on my DC-in board that's keeping it from making perfect contact. There we go. 500 milliamps and a fan spin. And that's about that for today. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of Making a MacBook Work Again with Louis Rossmann. We'll be doing more of these in the future. I was hoping that there'd be a little bit more diagnostics involved here rather than just, monkey see, monkey do, flux, hot air. This one was really more of a janitorial job. But it does demonstrate the importance of taking a look if someone says that something's wrong. If you have a customer say that it's randomly turning off and it's a machine that doesn't have a known fault, it's going to be difficult to work on, and you're most likely not going to find what the problem is unless there's some sort of obvious corrosion. But there can always be obvious corrosion. Simply because it turns on for you and it doesn't turn on for the customer does not mean that you should turn them away for service. Because what that means is that there may be something like that hiding. And while that was fixable right now, what if that chip had completely died and started sending 5 or 8 or 12 volts to the memory circuit? Wouldn't that be horrible? Because then you'd actually have a board that wouldn't be economically viable to repair if 8 or 12 volts went everywhere. You want to catch the problems while they're still young. You want to try to solve things early on rather than put them off until later. If there's anything I've learned over the course of many, many bad decisions in my life, it's when I put off addressing a problem, I'm not really going to avoid addressing the problem. It's just waiting for it to be bigger tomorrow, a bigger issue that requires a stronger and more mentally sane me to fix. And if there's anything I've learned over the years, I don't get saner as I get older. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. If you're interested in doing the type of work that we do in this video, repairing motherboards at component level, and you'd like to learn more for free, I'd highly suggest that you check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Rossmann Group. When you visit the channel, you can click on Playlists, scroll down, and you'll see a playlist called MacBook Component Level Logic Board Repairs. On this playlist, you will find over 600 videos detailing how to fix MacBook motherboards. If you feel like the content in these videos is a little bit too advanced for you, or like you need to learn a little bit more electronics theory before you're able to understand what we're going over, you can scroll down in the video description and click on the Beginner's Guide. When you click on the Beginner's Guide, you'll see this 150 slide guide that goes over everything from short detection to how transistors work, to how data lines work, to how buck converters work, so that you can better understand how to do these types of repairs. If you would like more free help, you can visit repair.wiki. On repair.wiki, we have all of the devices listed by model and board number, along with common solutions and common problems, so that you can get an idea of where to look for your particular problem. If you're unsure how to fix it and you just want to pay somebody else to fix it, look no further than RossmannGroup.com. On RossmannGroup.com, you can find repair services as well as mail-in repair services where you can mail in your repair from anywhere and we'll take care of it for you. If you'd like some paid help with your board repair but you'd still like to do it yourself, you can check out boards.rossmanngroup.com, where we have expert-level technicians that will answer your questions for the low, low price of $29 a month. If you'd like to learn how to do this in an in-person classroom environment, look no further than RossmannGroup.com, where you can go here, scroll down, click Learn Logic Board Repair, and sign up for a paid class to learn how to fix motherboards and learn in person how to do the work that we do here on this channel. We have paid resources available, and we also have free resources available for those who'd like to learn who don't have a budget to be able to pay for an in-person class. Lastly, if you'd like to purchase any of the tools that we used in this video, you can check the video description and you will see all of the tools that we use, from microscopes to freeze spray to soldering stations to soldering tips and so on and so forth. And you can visit places like store.rossmanngroup.com to purchase some of the tools we use, like the Atten 862 hot air rework station. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.